In this section, we're going to be talking about how to build an end-to-end quantitative model. So what we're trying to do is answer that number one question: how does your product grow? And answering this question in a consistent way across your company is vitally important to being able to do things like prioritization, strategic investments, and other types of bets. As a reminder, there's three different types of growth models: a qualitative model, a loop-specific model, and an end-to-end quant model. We started at the foundation by building our qualitative growth model, because the big strength of the qualitative growth model is that it's great for broader communication, brainstorming, strategic thinking, and alignment. We ended up with something that looked like this for the LinkedIn free product, as well as we went through a couple other examples. We then took that qualitative model and we identified a single loop within our qualitative model in order to build a loop quantitative model around. The big strength here is that we can use the single loop quant model to help us validate and prioritize ideas around a single loop without dealing with the complications of the end-to-end quantitative model. Where we started was by filling out these types of loop maps, defining all of the steps, the output metrics of the steps, the conversion formulas, as well as all of the conversion variables within the conversion formulas. Once we did all of this, we translated it into an Excel spreadsheet where we could play with the individual variables to understand how it affects the output of the loop. In this last section, what we want to do is take this single loop models and start thinking about, well, how can we build an end-to-end quantitative model? Something that's representative of our entire product rather than just a single loop. The end-to-end quantitative model has three big pros. The first is around discovery. The act of building the model itself is going to help you identify inputs and outputs and relationships that you previously didn't know, or it's going to identify holes where you need to think about what that causal relationship is. The big thing here is that there is no template. You have to go through this process and define this specifically for your product and business. The second thing is that it combines all of the individual loops into one representative model and provides a holistic view. And finally, it's a more detailed map. It moves beyond the simplified loops and provides a more detail on the inputs and all of our key goals and outputs. Now, the number one thing that we caution against is reminding you around this quote of George Box: all models are wrong and some are useful. The most common trap when building out the end-to-end quantitative model is to make your model too complicated in an effort to make it exact. The key that we are trying to produce is that the model is directionally accurate. It is not perfectly accurate. We're going to be going through four different steps: identifying the key output, breaking it down into its inputs, inserting its baselines, and then projecting the output over time. In order to do this, we're going to be using a hypothetical example that we call the Reforge Professional Network. The hypothetical example of the Reforge Professional Network is a portfolio site for growth professionals. You can sign up, get a portfolio page to upload your work, projects, and experiments, and you can tag team members and others on the projects. Here's the qualitative map that we'll be walking through, but we'll be taking this and then going through a tops-down view in order to build our end-to-end quantitative model. In the next lesson, we're going to get started by building out the first couple steps of the end-to-end quant model.